From Mara to Elim. Fifth reading 27. Then, on the 1st of Iyar, they journeyed and came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water, corresponding to the 12 tribes, and 70 date palms, corresponding to the 70 elders. They encamped by the water for 10 days. From Elim to Elash. 16:1 On the 11th of Iyar, they moved on from Elim and camped on the east shore of the Sea of Reeds. 76 On the 12th of Iyar, they journeyed from this stop and camped somewhere in the Sin Desert. 77 On the 13th of Iyar, they journeyed from this stop and camped at Dafka, another location in the Sin Desert. 78 They stayed there for 2 days. The entire community of Israel came to Elash. 79 Another location in the Sin Desert, which is between Elim and Sinai, on Shabbat 80 the 15th of Iyar, the second month after they had left Egypt. 2 That morning they finished the bread they had taken with them from Egypt. Having eaten 2 meals a day, this was the 61st meal they ate from these provisions. Although they were not yet hungry and there was still ample time for God to provide them with food, the entire community of the Israelites complained against Moses and Aaron because they were in the desert with no provisions left. 3 The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the hand of God in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the fleshpots and ate our fill of bread. But you have taken us out to this desert, to starve this entire congregation to death." This was the 4th time the people challenged God's ability to come to their aid. 81 The manna and the quails. For God said to Moses, "The people asked for meat and bread. Today, in the late afternoon, I will send them quails to eat, and tomorrow I am going to rain down bread for you from the sky." The people will go out and gather each day's portion on that day. They must not save any from one day for the next. This way, I will test them as to whether or not they will follow my teaching regarding it, i.e., that they not leave any of it over and not collect it on the Sabbath, as I will soon instruct them. 5 On the 6th day of the week they shall prepare what they bring in, and even though they will have collected the same amount as on previous days, it will miraculously be twice as much as they gather each day. Thus, they will not have to collect it on the Sabbath. 6 As for what to say to the people, God first addressed the impertinent tone of their complaint. He had both Moses and Aaron deal with this, since they were both responsible for teaching the people how to believe and trust in God. Thus, both Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites in God's name, "You said that we took you out of Egypt 82, and since we cannot provide for you in the desert, you assume that you will perish. Your faith in God needs to be strengthened. Furthermore, asking for meat was unnecessary and impudent. You can survive quite well without it, and anyway you have plenty of cattle. 83 Therefore, in the evening, you will know that it is God, not us, who took you out of the land of Egypt, for you will see him provide you miraculously with the meat you crave. But he will express his displeasure with your impertinence by giving you meat at dusk, when it is difficult to gather and prepare. 7 On the other hand, implicit in your complaint against our inability to provide for you is your awareness that God can provide for you, and this is praiseworthy. Furthermore, this belief in God prompted you to ask for bread, which is justified, since you cannot subsist without bread. So tomorrow, in the morning, you will see the glory of God, i.e., his goodwill and love, as he provides you with bread. He will express his approval of your faith in him by giving you bread in the morning, when there is ample time to gather and prepare it, and by presenting it to you protected with layers of dew above and below. This is why he will provide you with bread only tomorrow morning, and not immediately. He will thus provide for you, having heard your complaints, which, although you voice them against us, are not against us, but are against God. For what are we that by your example you should incite your families and the mixed multitude to complain against us? We have no power of our own. 8. God then addressed the substance of the people's complaint. Since only Moses, not Aaron, was responsible for providing for the people, God spoke through Moses alone. Moses said, "You will realize that you asked for meat impudently and bread properly when you see how God gives you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satiety in the morning. Although he will provide you with an abundance of both bread and meat, 84, you should only eat bread to satiety, because it is gluttonous to eat meat to satiety. He will give you bread compassionately, because God hears your complaints. He will give you meat reproachfully, because, although you direct your complaints at us, by example, you are inciting others to complain against him, not us. For what are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against God. 85. 9. Pointing to a location outside the camp, Moses said to Aaron, "Tell the entire community of the Israelites, draw near that place and stand there before God, for he has heard your complaints." 10. And when Aaron spoke to the entire community of the Israelites, and they turned toward that place in the desert, they beheld the glory of God in a cloud.